Hook and mystery. What if I told you that a boy who once shined shoes on the streets of Brazil would one day sit in the most powerful chair in the country? What if I told you that this boy, who grew up so poor he often went to bed hungry, would later become president, not once, not twice, but 3 times? And what if I told you that his story is not a straight line of victory, but a storm of scandals, betrayals, prison walls, and stunning comebacks? This is the life of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the man Brazilians call simply Lula. Stay with me until the end, because his journey isn't just about politics. It's about resilience, hunger for justice, and the unshakable belief that no matter how many times you're knocked down, you can rise again. And before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, because here we turn lives into unforgettable journeys. Roots in poverty. Caetés, Pernambuco, 1945. A family of dirt farmers. Poverty wasn't just a backdrop. It was the air they breathed. Lula was the 7th of 8 children. By the time he could walk, he could feel the sting of hunger. When Lula was still a baby, his father abandoned the family. Dona Lindu became the anchor. With sheer grit, she moved her children nearly 2,000 kilometers south, crammed into the back of a truck, chasing the hope of work in São Paulo. Surprising fact number 1. On that journey, Lula's family rode for 13 days with barely enough food or water, a test of survival before his real battles even began. In São Paulo, life didn't suddenly get better. Lula started working at age 12. Shoe shiner, street vendor, delivery boy. He carried the weight of poverty on his back, but inside him grew a determination that somehow life could be different.
The young worker. By his teens, Lula enters a factory. He trains as a metal worker. The air is thick with smoke. The machines scream like beasts. And young men like him risk fingers and hands every day. And then it happens. While working, Lula loses the pinky finger on his left hand in an accident. Most people would have given up, but Lula wore that scar as a badge, a reminder that the working class always pays the highest price. Surprising fact number 2. For years after, Lula often held his hand in his pocket during photos, not out of shame, but to keep people focused on his words, not his wound. He rises in the Metal Workers Union. His speeches are fiery, emotional, not polished like politicians, raw, honest. He speaks the way workers think. They trust him because he is one of them. From union leader to national threat. The 1970s. Brazil is under a military dictatorship. Protests are dangerous. But Lula leads massive strikes in the industrial region of São Bernardo do Campo. Tens of thousands follow him. Factories stop. Streets fill. Workers chant his name. The regime sees him as a threat. Police arrest him, throw him in jail. But jailing Lula only makes him stronger. Newspapers begin to write his story. Workers rally harder. Ordinary Brazilians start whispering, maybe this man could change things. Mini-hook. Imagine a factory worker with no college degree, no political dynasty, suddenly becoming the voice of millions. Could he actually run the country one day? Founding a new party.
In 1980, Lula does something unthinkable. He helps create a brand new political party, the Workers' Party, Partido dos Trabalhadores, PT. This wasn't just a party. It was a movement, a flag for the poor, the workers, the marginalized. Lula becomes its heart. Surprising fact number 3, Lula had originally dreamed of being a soccer player, not a politician. But destiny had other plans. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, he runs for president. He loses, once, twice, 3 times. Each time closer than before. Each time mocked by elites who called him uneducated, too rough, a shoeshine boy. But Lula never quit. His defeats only sharpened his hunger. The first victory. Brazil is restless. The poor demand change. The rich feel anxious. And Lula, after decades of struggle, finally wins the presidency. The boy who shines shoes now holds the highest office in Brazil. Crowds chant, tears flow. Dona Lindu, his mother, had passed away before she could see it, but Lula dedicates his victory to her strength. As president, Lula launches bold programs: Bolsa Familia, Fome Zero, cash transfers, food security, social safety nets. Millions lifted from poverty. Brazil rises as an economic powerhouse. Surprising fact number 4. During Lula's presidency, Brazil grew to become the 6th largest economy in the world, something many thought impossible. The world applauds. Barack Obama calls him the most popular politician on earth. Lula becomes a symbol of hope, not only for Brazil, but for the entire developing world.
Scandals and shadows. But power always casts shadows. In Lula's second term, scandals erupt. Corruption investigations, accusations, allies fall. His party is stained. Though Lula leaves office in 2011 with sky-high approval ratings, dark clouds linger. His protégé, Dilma Rousseff, takes over. Brazil faces recession, protests, political crisis, and then the hammer falls. Lava Jato, Operation Car Wash, the largest corruption investigation in Brazil's history. Lula is accused of taking bribes. He insists he's innocent, but the courts sentence him. Prison bars close around him. Minihook. The man who rose from poverty to the presidency, now sitting in a cell. Is this the tragic end, or the setup for a comeback? Prison and the Phoenix. Lula is behind bars. Supporters camp outside his cell, chanting daily, "Bom dia, Presidente Lula." For 580 days, he is locked away. Yet from prison, he remains the most influential figure in Brazilian politics. Surprising fact number 5. Even while imprisoned, polls showed Lula would have likely won the presidency if he had been allowed to run. But in 2019, the Supreme Court rules his conviction was biased. The case collapses. Lula walks free. Tears stream down his face as he tells crowds, "They tried to bury me alive, but I am here." The astonishing comeback. Brazil is bitterly divided. Jair Bolsonaro, the right-wing president, faces Lula in an election that feels more like a civil war. The country trembles with tension. Families split. Streets boil with protests. Against all odds, Lula wins. The boy who once shined shoes, the man once branded a criminal, now, for the 3rd time, president of Brazil. His victory speech is not one of revenge, but reconciliation. He promises to unite a fractured nation. He vows to protect the Amazon, to restore Brazil's place on the global stage. But can a man who has lived through so much chaos truly heal a country still burning with division? Legacy and future. Today, Lula's story is still being written. For some, he is a hero of the poor. For others, a symbol of corruption. But nobody can deny his life is cinematic. From hunger to power, from prison to the presidency, from shoeshine boy to global statesman. His scars, his voice, his journey, they remind us of something simple but profound. Where you begin does not dictate where you will end. So what do we take from Lula's life? That resilience beats defeat? That scars can be medals? That comebacks are always possible, even when the world says you're finished? Maybe you're facing obstacles. Maybe people doubt you. Remember Lula. Remember the shoeshine boy who refused to give up, who refused to let others write his ending. If this story moved you, if you learned something new, hit that like button. Comment below with the moment that surprised you most. And don't forget to subscribe, because more unforgettable life stories are coming your way. Because just like Lula's journey, every story has the power to change how we see the world.